The narration begins with a master's final words, telling the protagonist that he won't be looking after him anymore, and to find a companion he can forgive from the bottom of his heart. The scene shifts abruptly with the phrase, "So anyway, Elias." A bearded man grins and pats Elias on the shoulder, announcing that starting now, he is a member of the hero's party. Elias looks confused as the man waves goodbye, cheerfully saying that even without magic power, it will work out somehow. Elias stands alone in silhouette, panicking internally about being forced to join the hero's party to defeat the Demon King so suddenly. Elias narrates that he, Elias Martin, didn't realize at the time how much power his master's cherished demonic sword was truly hiding. The scene jumps to a chaotic battle, where a massive dragon roars while surrounded by smaller flying monsters. The hero, Matteo, shouts at Elias to cover for him, and Elias responds that he knows. Elias slashes through an enemy, narrating that it has been a few months since he joined the party to investigate a mountain pass. The warrior Thomas and sage Isabella look exhausted, complaining that there is no end to the monsters. The narration notes that this monster den is so dangerous that even S-rank parties would struggle. Elias notices that everyone in the party is reaching their physical and mental limits. Elias warns Matteo that at this rate they will lose, but Matteo snaps back that he already knows. Matteo grits his teeth in frustration, muttering, "Damn it," as the battle turns against them. The party is forced to retreat, with the narration admitting they couldn't achieve anything in the end. The scene shifts to a quiet forest path where Matteo stops walking, the wind blowing ominously. Matteo turns his back to Elias and asks, "Elias, do you realize your own position?" Elias nervously laughs and answers that he is their companion, asking what else he could be. Matteo turns around with a cold glare and tells Elias he is dead weight and is officially fired as of today. Nothing builds team morale quite like the leader firing the only guy watching his back immediately after a failed mission. Truly leadership material. Elias freezes in shock while the other party members look away awkwardly. Matteo lists his reasons, starting with the claim that Elias is a liar. Elias stammers, asking what he is talking about. Elias recalls seeing a strange floating light in the forest and telling the party it wasn't evil. Matteo points out that Elias kept telling them to follow the light, but none of the other members ever saw it. Elias argues that following it kept them safe, but Matteo shouts that it was just pure luck. Matteo lectures him about demonic swords, stating they can only be used by those with specific aptitudes or created by accident. Matteo tells Elias flatly that he cannot wield the demonic sword properly. He explains that even though Elias has the aptitude, he is unable to draw out the sword's true power. Elias shouts that he can still be of help to everyone in battle despite that. Elias argues that he always acts for everyone's sake, even if he can't use the sword perfectly. Matteo turns and walks away with the party, simply stating, "You aren't necessary." The scene shifts to the exterior of an inn in town as the sun sets. Elias lies on a bed in a dark room, wondering what he should do now. He clenches his fist, angry and hurt by the way his former companions spoke to him. He recalls his master's advice to find a companion he can forgive from the bottom of his heart. Elias cries silently, realizing he thought he had found trustworthy companions. He wipes his tears and decides with a forced laugh that maybe he should just become a solo adventurer. The scene shows the bustling interior of the Adventurers Guild. The receptionist, Aaron, calls out to him excitedly, recognizing him as Sir Elias from the hero's party. Elias awkwardly admits that he was actually just fired from the party. Aaron cheerfully frames it as turning adversity into opportunity and praises his adventurer's spirit. She immediately offers him a quest that is perfect for beginners. Aaron registers him as an F-rank adventurer, and Elias is just thankful she is treating him normally. Elias walks through a forest, heading toward a recently discovered lake mentioned in the quest. He decides to enjoy the view and resolves to start acting for his own sake instead of others. Elias hides behind a tree as he spots a group of goblins ahead. He sees the mysterious floating light again, and decides to avoid the fight since he doesn't want to battle. He follows the light, noting that the path it leads him on seems safe. Elias arrives at a clearing and sees a beautiful lake. He looks around, confirming if this is the lake in question. Heavy stomping noises approach, signaling something large is coming. A massive water dragon bursts onto the scene, roaring at a fleeing girl. Elias realizes an elf girl is being chased by the monster. He identifies the creature as a water dragon and stares in shock. Elias is confused why a monster stronger than a wyvern is in a beginner area. He realizes there is no time to think or hesitate. Elias dashes forward with incredible speed. He draws his sword and shouts to the girl that he will help her. Elias leaps into the air to strike the dragon. He notes the dragon isn't very fast and thinks he can land a hit. His sword strikes the dragon's scales but bounces off with a clang, unable to cut the tough hide. Elias realizes this is not good as the attack fails. The dragon swings its tail, forcing Elias to jump away to dodge. The elf girl casts Air Cutter, revealing she is a wind magic user. Elias thanks her for the assist, realizing they can defeat it if they work together. Elias tells her to support from the back while he takes the vanguard. The dragon retreats into the lake, submerging itself to hide. Elias wonders what to do since they can't attack it underwater, but he has an idea. The elf girl begins casting a massive spell with multiple magic circles. She unleashes a torrent of air cutters into the water to drive the dragon out. Elias prepares himself, waiting for the exact moment the dragon emerges. The dragon bursts out and fires a beam of energy, surprising Elias. The blast destroys the trees behind him. Elias realizes he would have been vaporized if it hit. Elias rolls and runs to dodge the continuing attacks. The elf warns that the dragon's roar is dangerous. Elias agrees and promises to stay out of its path. Elias analyzes the dragon, realizing he can penetrate the skin if he strikes the same spot multiple times. Elias runs toward the beast, thinking that if they work together they have a chance. Elias strikes the dragon with a heavy, praying the attack connects effectively. The scene focuses on the impact point where the blade slams into the dragon's scales. Elias panics as his sword gets stuck in the dragon's hide though he realizes the strategy to penetrate the skin worked. The dragon thrashes violently, throwing Elias off balance. The dragon roars, catching Elias completely off guard as he falls. Elias realizes his right arm has been hit. Even a mere graze has caused significant damage, leaving him in pain. He wonders how he can fight with one arm when he could barely keep up with two, realizing the elf girl will be in danger if he fails. A faint whisper suddenly reaches his ears, pleading for help. Elias is confused, asking if the girl said something, but realizes the voice is echoing directly inside his head. The voice continues to beg, "Please," while Elias wonders who is speaking to him. The voice asks him to grant me power, and Elias instinctively agrees to the request. A blinding light erupts from the lake, enveloping the demonic sword in water. A massive column of water shoots into the sky, and the voice confirms that his call reached them. The water magic slams into the dragon overwhelming the monster. The dragon collapses, and Elias realizes there is no time for calculation. He just has to use the power. Elias clenches his fist, preparing to deliver the final blow. He shouts his wish to defeat the dragon as he swings the water-infused blade. The sword extends into a massive blade of water, slashing toward the enemy. The attack connects, creating a massive splash and shockwave. Water crashes down around them as the dragon falls with a heavy. Elias pants heavily, wondering if he really wielded the demonic sword, while Emma cheers that he defeated the water dragon. A small spirit pops out of a water bubble, relieved she can finally come out, leaving Elias completely confused. Emma introduces herself as Emma Rachnell, Elias introduces himself, and the spirit introduces herself as Undine. Elias freaks out, realizing Undine is a legendary high spirit and wondering why she is in a place like this. Undine floats closer and casually asks Elias if he wants to make a contract with her. Elias panics, confused why a spirit would want a contract with him, and trying to process what that even means. Undine takes his silence as a yes, grabs his hand to seal the deal, and Elias fails to object in time as he is pulled along. Undine tells him they are equals and that he can call her anytime, then disappears into a mark on his hand. Elias turns to check on Emma, asking if she is hurt anywhere. Emma suddenly grabs his hands and shouts, asking Elias to come to the elf kingdom with her. Elias stares at her in complete shock, muttering, "What?" Emma asks Elias to come to the elf kingdom with her. Elias points to himself in surprise, stammering, "Me." Emma asks Elias if he knows the color of the lesser spirits gathering around her. She explains that she was actually asked to find a human who could see spirits. Elias admits he only sees blue light and didn't realize it was a spirit. Emma states that humans who can see spirits are incredibly rare, countable on one hand. Elias asks why, admitting he doesn't think he will be of any use. He grips his sword, explaining that his magic power is 0, and he can only use the magic sword as an ordinary weapon. Emma notes that most humans who can see spirits usually possess some kind of blessing within them. She insists that making a contract with a legendary spirit is amazing enough, and asks him to come along. Elias agrees with a smile, noting that he doesn't know what to do from now on anyway. Elias mentions he has something to do in the city first. The scene shows a church and town buildings. Elias runs back to Emma, announcing that he is done with his shopping. Elias introduces himself formally, but Emma tells him to drop the formality since they are adventuring together. Elias smiles, realizing he is excited to go on an adventure with someone again. A voice calls out, "Are you still here?" interrupting them as they search for an inn. The hero Mateo appears with his party members looking arrogant. Mateo ignores Elias and comments that it's his first time seeing an elf, noting the rumors of their beauty are true. Mateo asks Emma if she is going somewhere with Elias right now. Emma casually confirms that she is, asking, "Yeah, why?" Mateo ignores Elias completely and asks Emma if she would like to join his party instead. The classic, "I'm the hero so I can steal your party members" maneuver. He claims adventuring with them would be more beneficial than being with a weakling and dead weight like Elias. Emma bows politely but apologizes, stating that she wants to adventure with Elias, not the heroes. Mateo warns her that Elias is a good-for-nothing, but Emma counters that Elias is stronger than he thinks. Mateo walks away, sneering that she is going to regret that decision later. Elias apologizes to Emma, feeling guilty about the encounter. Emma notices his pained expression and asks him to tell her what happened between them. A flashback begins with Elias stiffly introducing himself to Mateo Sharon. The narration explains they met through his master's connection with the royal family. In the past, Mateo smiles and welcomes Elias as a comrade. Mateo compliments Elias' cool sword as Thomas and Isabella join the party. Elias laughs nervously, admitting that he can't actually use the magic sword because his magic power is 0. Back in the present, Elias realizes he was the only irregular member of the party. He describes how the distance between him and the other party members widened with each fight. As the dungeon level increased, he found himself becoming dead weight and causing losses. The flashback shows Mateo shouting that Elias is fired as of today. Elias accepts that because he is the weakest, he is dragging everyone down. Back in the present, Emma trembles with anger while Elias sweats nervously. Emma yells at him, asking if he didn't think that situation was strange. Emma asserts that Elias is strong. She explains that Elias was strong from the start, and it wasn't just because of Undine's help. She points out that he analyzed the situation instantly and acted optimally while guiding the enemy. Elias smiles self-deprecatingly, saying that's normal, otherwise it would be dangerous. Emma counters that caring for an ally while in danger is something only strong people can do. She realizes that he lacks self-awareness because he was treated so badly by the hero's party. Emma tells Elias to believe in himself, saying that fighting while protecting allies is true strength. Elias tears up, grateful to have a friend who says that, and decides to believe in his own strength. A scene shows Elias slicing through enemies with renewed confidence. Elias asks how much longer it is to the Elf Kingdom, and Emma replies that it's just a little bit more. Elias credits Undine, who floats above him and says he will get very strong from now on. Elias asks if Emma can see Undine, but Emma looks confused. Elias realizes that spirits bound by a contract can usually only be seen by the contractor. He wonders why he can see them with zero magic, and asks Undine to show herself to Emma. Undine suggests that the sword itself manifests spirit power, allowing the owner to see spirits. Elias looks at his sword, wondering if he is the most compatible person for it. They arrive at a set of ancient ruins. Emma explains that they go to the center of the pillars to use teleportation magic to enter the kingdom. A bright light engulfs them as the teleportation activates. They arrive at a breathtaking city built into cliffs, leaving Elias in awe. Emma points to a building, saying her house is right up there. People bow and welcome Emma-sama back, leaving Elias confused by the respectful titles. The house Emma pointed to turns out to be a massive, majestic castle. Inside, Elias is stunned by the grandeur while Emma warns him not to get lost. Emma cheerfully calls out, "I'm back, Mommy," as Elias panics, realizing it really is a castle. Emma's mother, Merle Rachnell, welcomes her home. Emma introduces Elias to her father. Her father introduces himself as Mikhail Rachnell, king of this country, and warmly welcomes Elias, causing Elias to finally realize that Emma is a princess. Elias stammers in shock, asking Emma if she is actually a princess. Emma blushes furiously, yelling at him to stop calling her that and to drop the honorifics immediately. Elias laughs, agreeing that it would be strange to change how he acts now, declaring that she is his friend regardless of status. Emma's parents watch the interaction with amusement, her mother giggling at the scene. Her mother teases them, asking Elias what exactly their relationship is since he uses no honorifics. Emma's father whispers from behind the door, demanding to know Elias' true feelings about his daughter. The king shifts the topic, noting that Elias is compatible with a magic sword. Emma tries to explain about the sword, but her parents are too busy bickering and teasing to listen. A door creaks open, interrupting the chaotic family moment. A woman descends the stairs, welcoming Emma home. Emma bows deeply to Lady Titania, shocking Elias as he realizes even royalty bows to this person. Elias feels a gentle resonance deep in his chest and wonders what this sensation is. Titania looks at Elias and states she can tell he has formed a contract with Undine. She explains that she knows because she and Elias are of the same kind. Elias clutches his chest, realizing their wavelengths have been resonating ever since they met. Elias asks Undine to show herself in front of everyone. Undine manifests in a glow of light and immediately recognizes Titania. Titania and Undine greet each other warmly, like old friends reunited after a long time. Titania reveals that she once adventured with an Undine contractor long ago. Elias reacts with excitement at hearing about another contractor, but Titania gently informs him that the person passed away hundreds of years ago. Titania silences Emma's question about her age with a smile, calling it a secret. Emma steps forward and announces to Titania that she has finally found him. She confirms she completed her mission to find and bring back a spirit user greater than an elf. Elias freezes, struck by the thought that he was foolish for believing Emma stayed with him out of friendship. With a pained expression, he confirms that Emma was only with him because of her mission. Emma panics and tries to explain that while the mission was real, she had her own reasons as well. She explains that because she is royalty, she never had a true friend, and adventuring with him genuinely made her happy. Blushing, Emma points to her cheek and shyly admits that she simply wanted a friend. She pleads with Elias to believe that she wanted to adventure with him, not just with the chosen one. Elias immediately smiles and tells her to stop worrying, saying that of course he believes her. He laughs brightly, adding that there is no need to thank him for trusting her. Emma beams with relief and happiness, shouting, "Yeah." Titania smiles at the resolved misunderstanding and shifts the conversation to the true reason for the summons. Elias pumps his fist eagerly, asking what they need him to do, recalling his master's teaching to help those in need. Titania descends the stairs and states that there is something only he can do. She bluntly asks Elias to save the world. Titania reveals that Undine and other high-ranking spirits have been sealed by demons. Undine explains that the water dragon was the key to her seal, and moving it allowed Undine to lend her power temporarily. Titania warns that demons will soon begin moving in earnest, and that their natural enemies are spirits and angels. Titania predicts that the demons' first targets will be the sealed high-ranking spirits. She states that only someone loved by spirits can save them and defeat these particular demons. Titania believes that by saving the spirits, the world will be saved indirectly. Elias stares at his hand, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the request. Titania reveals that another spirit is sealed not far from here. She asks him to go there, admitting that the elves tried everything but failed to save it. Titania looks sorrowful, while Emma watches Elias with concern. Elias asks where it is, realizing that people need help right now. He declares that he will save them. The scene shifts to a dark cave entrance where the shrine is located. Emma warns him about monsters, but Elias is trembling, stiff as a board. Elias clutches his stomach, terrified that if he fails, the entire world will be destroyed. Emma looks at him in confusion, wondering why he is so nervous about a single shrine. She advises him to stop thinking about saving the world. Elias argues that he can't ignore it because Undine's friend is in danger, and his friends are worried. Emma points out that his motivation is for his friends, not for the abstract idea of the world. She tells him to forget the world's fate and just act for Undine right now, easing the pressure. Emma laughs, saying that this simpler motivation suits him better. Elias agrees, deciding to keep things simple and do what he needs to do for the people and spirits he cares about. He party explores the cave, fighting off goblins as they search for the shrine. Elias notices how strange it is that trees and glowing plants are growing deep inside a cave. Undine floats nearby as Elias wonders where the shrine holding the sealed spirit could be. Emma points ahead, explaining that the shrine lies further in, beyond a large archway. They enter a vast chamber filled with floating lights, which Elias identifies as micro-spirits. Elias notices a massive stone figure seated against the wall and asks if it is just a statue. Emma excitedly points past it, revealing the shrine beyond the figure. Suddenly the statue's eye glows and Elias shouts for Emma to watch out. The stone figure rises, revealing itself to be a golem rather than a statue. Elias asks Undine for strength and tells Emma to back him up with magic. He clashes with the golem, narrowly dodging its massive stone fist. Elias slices through the golem's arm and shouts that they did it. To his shock, the severed arm immediately begins to reform. Emma fires off a spell, shouting, "How about this?" Dust and smoke fill the chamber as they wait to see if the attack worked. The golem regenerates once again, sending Elias into panic as he realizes neither sword nor magic is stopping it. Vines suddenly burst from the ground, trapping Emma and knocking Elias off balance. Elias spins with his sword, slashing away all the vines around them. Seeing an opening, Elias charges forward. He delivers a powerful vertical slash straight into the golem's body. Panting, Elias hopes that cutting off its head will finally stop the regeneration. Suddenly, his body freezes, refusing to move as exhaustion overwhelms him. Emma cheers, thinking he has won. Her expression shifts to terror as she screams his name, realizing something is wrong. The golem's head regenerates and Elias despairs, wondering if it is truly impossible to defeat. Emma cries out, telling him that at this rate he is going to die. Elias clenches his fist, admitting his body is screaming in pain but refusing to give up. Undine looks worried as Elias asks her to lend him that power one more time. Bleeding and barely standing, Elias declares that even so he has to do it. He thinks to himself that if he does not fight, Emma and the spirits will not survive. Elias charges forward, telling himself he cannot afford to fall here. He suddenly notices something glowing inside the golem. He shouts for Emma to aim her wind cutter at the golem's chest. Grinding his teeth, Elias strikes, declaring that he fights to protect his comrades. He activates Spirit Magic Sword Azure, pushing beyond his limits. Elias unleashes the Snowflower Slash. The golem collapses as a small core shatters in midair. He explains that the core was the source of its regeneration. Elias tries to reassure her that he is fine, but he is bleeding heavily and begins to lose consciousness. As his vision fades, a mysterious figure appears before him, asking if he is the one who saved them. A glowing spirit rises from the shrine, causing Elias and Emma to gasp in shock at the sudden appearance. The spirit floats down cheerfully, introducing herself as Dryas and thanking them for breaking the seal. Dryas notices Elias' severe injuries and looks concerned, quickly realizing he was hurt while trying to save her. She offers to heal him as thanks but insists they must form a contract first, leaving Elias confused. Elias looks down in amazement as a warm light envelops his body, and his wounds rapidly begin to heal. Dryas proudly declares that she excels at healing and support magic, and Elias thanks her, saying he is counting on her help. Undine and Dryas hug happily as Dryas warns them to stay alert, explaining that the golem was the key to her seal, just like the crocodile was for Undine. Elias asks the crucial question of why the high-ranking spirits were sealed in the first place. Dryas asks if they already know about the Demon King's revival, assuming they are aware of the situation. She explains that Hero was born to defeat the resurrected Demon King, not a newly born one. Dryas reveals that the seal placed 200 years ago was broken. She clarifies that the Demon King was not recently born, but resurrected from the past. Elias is shocked to learn that there was a Demon King 200 years ago, and that the current threat is a revival. Dryas reveals that the hero of that era died fighting him, and that the high-ranking spirits were sealed during that battle. She explains that the hero's companion, a spirit mage, somehow succeeded in sealing the Demon King after the hero fell. Elias processes the terrifying truth that the hero lost, and it was the support mage who ultimately saved the world, so the legendary hero face-planted in the first round and the support class had to clean up the mess. That unusual in an isekai plot. From the shadows, a dark figure watches, stating that the high-ranking spirits must be eliminated as soon as possible. Elias and Emma stand frozen inside the cavern as a winged figure confronts them. The figure spreads his wings and calmly introduces himself as Laris, a demon. Sensing immediate danger, Elias steps forward and orders Emma to stay back. Laris mocks them, commenting that breaking a spirit seal on their own is reckless and troublesome for him. In an instant, Laris closes the distance, his face suddenly right next to Elias in a terrifying burst of speed. A massive impact shakes the cave as Elias barely manages to intercept the blow. Crouched low, Elias thanks Undine for helping him dodge just in time. Laris gives him no room to breathe and launches another attack immediately. Elias blocks with his sword, straining against the demon's overwhelming strength as Laris clicks his tongue in annoyance. Horror fills Elias as he realizes Laris is overpowering him using only one hand, mocking his reliance on spirit power. Laris takes to the air and crashes down, slamming Elias back with crushing force. Noticing the sword, Laris remarks that spirit wielders are far too troublesome to keep alive. Elias realizes with dread that Laris is about to kill him on the spot. Suddenly, a massive sword intercepts the attack with a loud clang, saving Elias at the last moment. A man holding the great blade grins casually and asks Laris if he minds him joining the fun. Elias looks up in disbelief and recognizes the man as his master. They bicker briefly over who should be asking why the other is there, before the master confirms it really is Elias. Another demon appears beside Laris, who sighs that the situation has become annoying. The master steps in front of Elias, telling him to leave this to him and that they will talk later. The Master and Laris clash at blinding speed, shockwaves rippling through the air. The Master shouts at Elias to stay out of the fight so he doesn't get dragged into it. A massive explosion erupts as their weapons collide. Laris attacks from the air, raining down projectiles while the Master dodges effortlessly. Summoning multiple magic circles, Laris declares he will end this now. He casts Fireball and Rock Rain simultaneously, mocking that it doesn't matter if they miss. The Master dashes straight through the storm of magic and falling rocks. Realizing it was a decoy, the Master reacts as Laris attacks from the smoke. Landing in a crouch, the Master casually asks if his attack worked while Elias watches in awe. Laris emerges unharmed but irritated, deciding that the spirit user must be killed as well. Elias panics as Laris smiles wickedly and says he will have to get serious. The female demon suggests retreating instead of killing him. Laris argues that being taken out would be disastrous, since they wouldn't be able to report to that person. A dark portal opens and Laris tells Elias he was lucky, warning him he won't be merciful next time. As they leave, the female demon glances back at Elias, and Laris decides to leave a parting gift. The female demon silently mouths the words, "Help me," leaving Elias stunned. Laris shouts for Elias to get ready. A horde of skeleton soldiers erupts from the ground, surrounding them. Elias yells in shock that Laris summoned skeleton soldiers. Grinning, the Master leaves half of them to Elias, saying he wants to see how much he has grown. As Elias fights back, he realizes he would have died if his Master hadn't saved him. He calls out to Undine for support as more skeletons close in. Elias realizes this still isn't enough, and that he must grow stronger to protect his friends. He remembers the sensation of unleashing all his power at once during the golem fight. Desperately, he shouts that he needs to do that again as the enemies keep coming. He swings his sword, smashing through the skeletons. Emma casts a support circle and tells him not to panic. She smiles and reminds him to believe in his own strength, that he is strong. Elias grips his sword tightly, agreeing that he needs to believe in his friends and himself. He focuses, visualizing fighting with his own power instead of relying solely on Undine. With resolve, Elias activates Spirit Sword, Azure Second Form, declaring that he will take it one step further. A massive energy blast erupts through the cave with a roar of GIBL, obliterating the skeleton army as bones scatter everywhere. A relentless barrage of water cannonballs follows, wiping out the remaining skeleton soldiers completely and leaving Emma staring in awe. Leonardo watches with a satisfied grin, praising Elias for finally getting the hang of his power and telling him he's almost there. With the battle over, Elias thanks Undine and immediately turns to check on Emma, relieved when she assures him she isn't hurt. Elias' expression turns serious as he thinks to himself that the female demon's behavior bothered him, and that demons reaching this far was unexpected. Elias asks why his master is here and how he knew about the demons, but Leonardo brushes it off, telling him not to worry about the details as long as they're alive. Leonardo formally introduces himself to Emma as Leonardo Arctic, adding with a grin that the two of them seem to get along well. He then suggests they leave the area immediately, and though Elias hesitates, he agrees. As they walk, Leonardo casually asks where the rest of Elias' party is, assuming they're operating separately. Suddenly, Leonardo freezes and shouts in disbelief, asking if Elias really got kicked out of the hero's party. Elias awkwardly confirms it, explaining that a lot has happened and that he's now traveling with Emma. Leonardo stares at the two of them in silence, his expression serious and unreadable. Elias finally asks the question that's been weighing on him, who the magic sword's original owner was. Leonardo looks away and bluntly refuses to answer, saying he can't tell him. When Elias asks when he will find out, Leonardo replies vaguely that it depends on him, leaving Elias confused. Without warning, Leonardo orders Elias to return to the Elf Kingdom first, prompting Elias to protest loudly about why he has to go alone. Leonardo then turns to Emma with a grave expression and asks if he can speak with her privately, saying there's something important he needs to tell her. Leonardo tells Emma he has something important to tell her. Emma asks what it is, noting that Elias went back to the elf kingdom ahead of them. Leonardo apologizes for leaving them alone. Emma assures him it is fine. Leonardo asks Emma directly, "What do you think of Elias?" Emma reflects that Elias sees her as a comrade, not as a princess. She states she wants to keep adventuring with him from now on. Leonardo reacts with a sharp, intimidating glare. The air suddenly gets heavy. Emma wonders if it is about Elias. Emma finds it scary but refuses to back down. She admits she hasn't known Elias for that long. She declares that Elias is an irreplaceable comrade to her. Leonardo relaxes his stance and says, "I see." Leonardo suddenly slams his head into the ground with a heavy impact. Emma panics, asking what he is doing as he literally sinks into the dirt. Leonardo explains he didn't mean to scare her. He just wanted to test if she truly saw Elias as a comrade. Emma notes that she can tell just by watching that Elias is precious to Leonardo. Leonardo laughs, realizing Emma noticed his own bond with Elias, comparing it to a real parent and child. Leonardo tells her a bit about Elias' past. He reveals Elias' parents died when he was 4. He explains Elias started sword training because of that loss, and Leonardo raised him like his own son. Leonardo asks Emma to stop Elias if he tries something reckless, as he fears losing people more than anything. Emma looks at Leonardo with deep understanding. Leonardo smiles, saying he is glad it was Emma who became Elias' comrade. The scene shifts to Elias sitting on the castle steps, waiting. Emma and Leonardo arrive, apologizing for keeping him waiting. Elias immediately gets in between them, asking if his master did anything to her. Leonardo is offended, asking what Elias takes him for. Emma smiles, telling Elias not to worry and that they got along better. They enter the throne room. Lady Titania welcomes them back safely. Leonardo recognizes King Michiel. King Michiel calls out to Leonardo, noting it has been a while. King Michael welcomes him, telling him to drop the formalities. Titania thanks them for breaking Dryas' seal. Elias is shocked his master knows the king. Elias tries to get their attention to start his report. Titania is horrified to hear that demons are operating under the spirits. Elias describes the enemies, a winged man named Larlus and a woman. Elias admits they only survived because his master showed up. Elias confesses he is honest-to-God scared because the power gap is too big. He notes that Undine and Dryas are calling for help and being targeted. Elias declares he will become stronger to protect his comrades. He draws his sword, vowing to save the world. The royals thank Elias for his dedication. The king brings up that this might be farewell to Emma. Emma immediately states she will go with Elias. She declares Elias is someone precious to her. Elias says he wants to adventure with her too, and they shake hands. Titania smiles and offers them intel on the next location. She reveals the fire spirit Salamander is in the dragonfolk country. Elias turns to Emma with a smile, asking if she will go. The king warns them that things will get difficult from here on. The parents and Leonardo warn Elias not to make Emma cry. Elias promises to take care of her. The group waves goodbye to the royals as they leave. They arrive at a field of ruins. Elias notes they don't know exactly where they will land this time. Elias asks what Lord Salamander is like. Undine describes him as lonely. Undine explains high-ranking spirits used to live together in the spirit world. She admits it gets kind of lonely now that it is just her and Dryas. They find the circle. Elias resolves to find Salamander quickly for the spirit's sake too. Elias declares, "Let's go to the dragonfolk country." The scene shifts to Imperium, the royal capital overlooking the sprawling city and castle. Rumors spread through the city that the swordsman who left the hero's party was invited to the elf kingdom and defeated a water crocodile. People question if the current hero is reliable, noting the king is fed up because they lost again and came crawling back. Even the king is fed up. You know you're doing a bad job when the guy who hired you to save the world is actively checking the return policy on your employment contract. The scene shows a quiet, moonlit landscape near the castle walls at night. Matteo swings his sword violently in the woods, cursing and refusing to be lumped in with some loser. He grits his teeth, sweating and desperate, declaring that he can become way stronger. A sound interrupts him, causing Matteo to turn around in shock and shout, "Who's there?" A mysterious hooded figure smiles, praising the hero's admirable ambition to train in the middle of the night. The figure stands ominously, stating that if it is all right with him, they would like to offer their help. Elias and Emma dash through a shattering barrier of crystal-like shards. Elias looks out at the landscape, confirming this is the Dragonute Kingdom territory and deciding to head to the nation to gather info on Salamander. He points to a large mountain, noting they definitely need to cross it to reach the kingdom. Emma warns that they will run into monsters. Elias agrees and sets their immediate goal to reach the summit. Narration reveals they have been pushing for 2 days, encountering tough monsters but managing so far. Elias stops walking, staring ahead with a serious expression and says, "It's happening again." He explains that despite moving forward, they keep returning to the exact same spot they passed a minute ago. Elias turns to Emma and asks her for a favor, "Punch me." Emma blushes furiously and refuses, but Elias insists he needs to check something. Emma punches him full force in the face with a POW, and Elias regrets not expecting a closed fist. Elias touches his swelling cheek, realizing that they have somehow gotten lost in an illusion. He explains there are 2 types of illusions, one's cast on a place and one's cast on a person. He notes that illusions on a person are like dreams where you don't feel pain, but since the punch hurt, this is an illusion on the place. Elias deduces that spatial illusions always have an exit, in the form of a distortion. They find the distortion and shatter it with magic and swords, breaking the loop. They emerge into a rocky, desolate area. Elias suggests a short break as they haven't found the real path yet. Elias spots a red light he thinks is a wisp, while Emma sits down, exhausted and worried about the fatigue piling up. Elias grabs Emma's hand and runs toward the light, identifying it as a spatial distortion they can use to break free. The air cracks like glass as they force their way through the distortion. A blinding white light engulfs them. They burst through to the other side, Elias cheering that they did it. They look up to see a massive, jagged rock dragon looming over them. Elias and Emma stare up in pure terror and shock. Elias questions if they have just run into a mythical monster. The dragon speaks, accusing them of being with that demon since they managed to break out of the illusion. The dragon narrows its eyes, declaring no questions asked. The dragon unleashes a massive blast of breath. Elias grabs Emma and barely dodges. They land safely but shaken. Elias asks if Emma is all right and she replies, "Barely." The dragon doesn't let up, smashing its tail into the ground where they were standing. Elias tries to reason with it, shouting that there is a misunderstanding, but the dragon tells him to wait a second. The dragon interrupts him with a roar of "Shut up," and attacks again. Elias realizes it's hopeless, and that the dragon won't listen to a word they say. Elias draws his sword, realizing they have no choice but to fight. He notices something behind the dragon, 2 unconscious Dragonute children. Elias realizes the dragon might be fighting so ferociously because it is protecting those children. Elias notices his last attack caused cracks in the dragon's armor. Meanwhile, one of the kids wakes up. The dragon prepares a massive attack, declaring that dodging is useless and this is the end. Elias realizes the attack's trajectory will hit the kids if he dodges. Elias jumps straight into the attack range without dodging, shocking the dragon. Elias grips his sword, telling himself he needs a strike faster and more powerful than normal. He activates Spirit Magic Sword, Azure 3rd Style. He unleashes Water's Origin Slash. The attack connects, shattering the dragon's breath and creating a massive explosion of rock. The smoke clears, Elias is panting, and the dragon is stunned by the power of a high spirit. The dragon, now calm, asks, You're not allies of that demon, are you? Elias activates Spirit Magic Sword, green first style, area healing to heal everyone. The dragon is amazed Elias has contracts with both Undine and Dryas. The kids wake up fully healed. The dragon apologizes for jumping to conclusions. Elias says it's fine since he was protecting the children. The kids, Acto and Lurik, apologize, explaining they snuck out because they wanted to see the dragon ancestor. The dragon explains he found them after they fell off a cliff and hid them there to protect them from monsters until they woke up. The dragon explains that Salamander hasn't been captured but is likely nearby, given his whimsical nature and love for solitude. The dragon suddenly screams for everyone to get down as he senses an attack. A massive energy blast slams into the ground, creating a chaotic cloud of smoke and debris. A voice calls them persistent little pests, leaving Elias confused and shocked. The voice muses that stumbling across spirit users while chasing their prey is unexpected. The enemy declares that they are quite lucky today to find them here. Ah, the recurring villain. Just like a bad rash, they pop up exactly when you think you're finally having a nice day out in the mountains. Elias looks up with a sharp glare, recognizing the threat immediately. The figure decides this is the perfect chance to get rid of these nuisances all at once. Elias shouts the demon's name in anger, Laris. Elias is shocked to see the demon again, wondering why he is here since they fought once before. Laris reveals he is also after high-ranking spirits, and complains that the dragon won't tell him where Salamander is. Laris accuses the dragon of playing dumb, noting that he already claimed he doesn't know. Laris threatens to kill the dragon, addressing him as Mr. Zeu, and mentions his past alliance with Salamander. Laris unleashes a huge blast of energy at Zeu to back up his threat. Elias intercepts the blast with his sword, declaring he won't let Laris kill Zeu or Salamander. Elias asks Zeu to fight with them. Zeu agrees while Elias orders Emma to take the kids to safety. Elias charges in, thinking to himself that he has grown stronger since their last encounter. Elias and Laris clash in the air. Laris smiles, commenting that Elias has become a bit more fun. Laris mocks him, stating that using one hand is still enough to handle him. Laris overpowers Elias, sending him flying back with a grunt. Zeo breathes fire to create an opening, and Elias seizes the chance to unleash Mizumoto Slash. Laris dodges the attack in midair, leaving Elias frustrated. Laris taunts him, saying the technique has speed and power but is pointless if it doesn't hit. Elias visualizes a new attack, Spirit Demon Sword Blue Style 4th Form, aiming for continuous slashes to trap Laris. Elias unleashes Water Core, creating a barrage of water constructs around him. Laris easily weaves through the attack, calling it how unoriginal. Laris blocks or deflects the strikes with his wings, looking bored. Emma joins the fray, casting a wind slash at the demon. Emma shouts for Elias to attack one more time as she provides cover fire. Laris gets annoyed and casts Font's Dark Wave, unleashing a burst of dark energy. Elias is shocked by the heat, realizing the dark wave erased both the flame and magic attacks. Laris calls out Michelle. As a female demon appears, he notes that fighting 3 at once is troublesome. Laris orders Michelle to be useful and kill that. He tells her you too as Michelle targets Emma. Laris warns Elias not to look away. Laris remembers a simple solution and turns his attention to the nuisances, the children. Laris prepares an attack, taunting that heroes of justice can't ignore innocent lives in danger. Elias screams Acto Lurik, realizing the children are the target. Zeo throws his massive body in the way, taking the full force of the blast to protect the kids. Elias screams Zeo's name and orders Dryas to heal the dragon immediately. Laris notices the spirit magic and realizes Dryas is present as well. Laris immediately attacks Dryas and Emma, and Elias screams out in panic. Michelle intercepts Emma, telling her, "Don't move, your opponent is me," and asking her to stay quiet. Laris mocks Elias for risking his life to shield others, calling them all fools. Laris charges a massive dark sphere, stating he is getting bored and wants to end this. Elias lies on the ground, vision blurring, realizing everyone will die if he doesn't stand up. A mysterious voice echoes in Elias' head, "Shall I lend you power?" Elias doesn't hesitate, screaming, "Yes, please," without caring who the voice belongs to. Elias' sword erupts with a massive, unfamiliar energy. Laris is shocked by the flames, thinking, "This fire, don't tell me," as the voice says, "Use my power." Elias swings his sword, unleashing a gigantic beam of fire and energy toward Laris. Elias grits his teeth, putting everything he has into this one strike. He shouts Crimson-style first form, Spirit Demon Sword. The attack is named Flame Wind Slash. The two energies collide in a massive, blinding explosion. The smoke clears with Elias panting. A voice praises him, while Laris is shocked that his technique was neutralized. Laris stares in disbelief, realizing a spirit's power was involved. He grumbles that this is troubling, realizing Elias has even tamed Salamander. Elias asks if it was Salamander who lent him power. Salamander confirms but warns him that the enemy is still there. Laris glares, deciding to finish Elias off right there, because he has become too much of an obstacle. Suddenly voices call out, "That's," and there they are, pointing toward the scene. Elias identifies the new arrivals as the Dracolut guards. The guards declare they will defeat the demon, attacking their guardian god, Zeu. Laris sighs at the arrival of more small fry. Laris decides it's time to leave, telling Michelle that they are pulling back for now. As they fly away, Laris warns Elias not to worry because they will meet again very soon. Laris adds a final taunt, "Next time, I promise to show you something far more interesting." Elias wonders what he means by something interesting, but quickly dismisses it to focus on more urgent matters. Elias asks if Emma is okay. She says she is fine, while Dryas reports that Zeu is recovering and his life isn't in danger. As the demons disappear, Emma stares after them, feeling a strange unease and noting, "There's just something that bothers me." Emma admits to Elias that something has been bothering him. They stand near the fallen dragon as Elias asks her what it is. Elias asks if the demon girl Michelle seemed strange to her. Emma agrees, noting that Michelle held back and didn't wipe them out despite having the chance. Elias recalls that she seemed to be asking for help before and wonders if there is a conflict among the demons. He suggests that if they meet again, they should try to talk to her properly. Salamander, floating nearby, tells Elias to drop the lord and formal speech since they saved Zeu. Elias asks Zeu how he is holding up, and Salamander confirms the dragon is fine. Elias recalls Zeu telling him that unlike the others, Salamander wasn't sealed. Salamander explains that while the others were sealed during the battle with the Demon King, a few managed to escape. He reveals that with Zeu and the kingdom's help, he stayed hidden from the demon remnants until now. Elias asks Salamander if he would lend them his strength to rescue the other spirits. Salamander turns away, saying he doesn't like working in groups. However, he admits Elias' potential interests him, and the technique Elias used earlier was impressive for a first attempt. Salamander agrees to form a contract with Elias and tells him to try handling his power. Elias is overjoyed, while Undine and Dryas celebrate that Salamander, who rarely opens up, recognized him. Royal guards arrive, saluting Elias and thanking him for saving Prince Rurik and his companions. They invite Elias to the royal palace, leaving him confused when he realizes the children were royalty. The scene shifts to the majestic royal palace of the Dragonkin Kingdom. King Johann Ashut, a massive dragonute, thanks Elias in the name of the kingdom. Elias replies that helping was only natural, and the king introduces his son. Elias says she doesn't need a reward because she formed a contract with Salamander, making the king laugh heartily. The king insists that not rewarding them would set a bad example. Salamander appears and suggests a request that would be easy to grant. Salamander asks for permission to train Elias in the dragon's ravine. The king agrees, telling them to rest today and head there tomorrow. The next day they arrive at Dragon's Ravine in the northwest, and Elias waves to Zeu. Elias is relieved to see Zeo fully healed thanks to Dryas. Elias tries to thank Zeo, but the dragon insists he should be the one giving thanks for protecting everyone. Salamander training Elias. Salamander explains that Elias has a natural gift for handling high-ranking spirit power. Elias jokes that he might die if things continue like this, and Salamander calmly replies, maybe so. Salamander reveals a terrifying truth. Laris wasn't even fighting seriously yesterday. Elias realizes the massive gap in power and admits he wouldn't stand a chance if Laris got serious. Salamander warns the training will be harsh and wants Zeu to help strengthen Elias further. He tells Elias he truly believes he can go beyond into that realm. Elias clenches his fist, knowing he must settle things with Laris to protect everyone. Drawing his sword, Elias declares he wants to become stronger. Salamander announces, let the training begin. A montage shows Elias doing push-ups with rocks on his back, climbing cliffs, and sparring with Zeu. Emma watches from a distance, noting how hard Elias is pushing himself. Looking at her hands, Emma thinks she wants to be strong like Elias and useful to everyone. Undine approaches Emma and suggests she might be able to do it now. Undine asks Emma to come with her because there's something she wants to try. 10 days later at the royal palace, a messenger rushes in out of breath, shouting for King Johann. The king's eyes widen in shock at the report. He orders Elias to be summoned immediately. Elias and Emma arrive, with Elias saying they've already made good progress. Noticing the king's expression, Elias asks what the urgent matter is. The king reveals there are signs of a grand march of demons in Imperium. Elias realizes this is the interesting thing Laris promised to show him. The king warns that monster hordes have already begun invading nearby regions and will soon reach the capital. He adds a shocking detail. The invasion was triggered because the hero joined forces with the demons. Elias is horrified, shouting, "En no way, Matteo." Elias declares he's heading to Imperium immediately, and Emma shouts that she's coming too. Elias calls out to Zeu. The dragon confirms he heard everything and tells them to hop on for a ride. As they fly toward the capital, Elias sweats nervously, refusing to believe that Matteo would actually join the demons. The scene shifts to the royal capital, Imperium, showing the city skyline. The streets are in pandemonium as monsters swarm the city, attacking fleeing civilians while a figure clenches their fist in the foreground. The narration asks ominously, what in the world is happening in the royal capital? Elias and Emma fly over the capital on the dragon, noting they have reached Imperium. Elias looks down in horror, realizing there are already massive numbers of monsters inside the city. They spot the Adventurers Guild building, which is partially destroyed and burning. Inside, Aaron the receptionist is cornered by an orc and a lizardman, warning them to stay back. A massive impact knocks the monsters away as Elias lands to protect her. Aaron looks up with tears in her eyes, recognizing her savior as Elias. Elias tells her he is glad she is safe, but immediately asks what happened to the capital. Aaron admits she doesn't know all the details amidst the chaos. She reveals the guild's information. Hero Matteo joined forces with the demons and caused the stampede. Elias freezes, his face pale as he processes the name Matteo. Elias refuses to believe it blindly and asks for Matteo's location. Aaron points him to the center-right front lines. Elias rushes off, ordering Zeu to take Aaron and the townspeople to safety. As they run, Emma asks Elias why he still believes in Matteo despite everything. Elias declares he wants to know the truth face to face, because they were comrades who adventured together. Elias arrives at the scene and shouts, "So it's true, you really joined the demons." He sees Matteo amidst the chaos of the front lines. Matteo is shown fighting an ogre, looking desperate and shouting as he strikes. Laris descends from the sky with a smirk greeting them. Laris taunts Elias, stating that the show has already begun. He gestures to the burning capital, enjoying the sight of Imperium swallowed in chaos. Elias realizes this destruction is what Laris meant earlier. Laris thanks Mateo, saying this is all thanks to him. Mateo grunts in pain. Elias looks at Mateo in horror, asking if he is really working with Laris. Mateo trembles, muttering that this wasn't how it was supposed to go. A flashback shows young Mateo holding a sword, being praised as the chosen one and hero from birth. He walks through a crowd of admirers, narration revealing he felt lonely because they saw the hero, not him. The scene shifts to meeting Elias, Isabella, and Thomas. Mateo smiles, noting it was the first time he had equal comrades. Mateo smiles genuinely in the past, happy to be Elias' comrade. A montage shows the full party together. Mateo recalls those days were truly joyful. The tone shifts. Mateo narrates that he eventually hit a wall in his growth. Facing the true strength of demons, the party is shown battered and broken after a failed quest. Mateo slams his fist on the ground, refusing to admit his limit and believing a weak hero has no value. He admits he envied Elias' bravery without magic, which led him to exile Elias out of frustration. He recalls exiling Elias, noting the irony of his actions. Mateo stands alone while hearing rumors of Elias achieving great things after leaving. The public's eyes turn cold toward Mateo. He feels his weakness is being exposed. A hooded figure offers him power in exchange for information about the royal capital. Mateo gives in. Back in the present, Mateo realizes his betrayal led to this destruction. Laris reveals Mateo told them exactly when the city defenses would be weakest, making heroes easy to manipulate. Laris laughs maniacally, calling the situation utterly hopeless thanks to one foolish hero. A sword slashes through the air near Laris. Elias tells him to shut up. Elias glares at the demon with intense anger, warning him not to laugh at his comrades. Elias stands protectively in front of the broken Mateo. Isabella and Thomas are seen standing behind them. Elias grabs Mateo by the collar, shouting, "Have you really ended up all alone?" He tells Mateo to look around, pointing out that Isabella, Thomas, and Elias are still there. Elias screams at him to lean on his comrades more. Mateo realizes he envied Elias' strength but also admired it, noting that Elias still treats him as an equal even after the exile. Laris sits casually on a ledge, calling their display of comradeship pathetic after all this time. Laris orders his army of monsters to kill them all at once. Mateo admits he couldn't rely on Elias because he didn't want to admit defeat to him. Meanwhile, Elias deflects an incoming attack. Mateo grits his teeth, realizing he can't do anything on his own anymore in the face of this situation. Mateo finally swallows his pride and asks Elias, "Please, help me." Elias and Mateo fight back to back, slashing through the surrounding monsters together. Elias responds without hesitation, "Of course I'll help you." Mateo looks stunned by Elias' immediate acceptance. Elias smiles broadly, declaring, "We're comrades after all." Mateo tears up and thanks Elias sincerely. Elias shouts for Mateo to take up his sword so they can take that guy, Laris, down together.